Hi everybody, EAP 404 here, coming to you live from my semi-luxurious apartment. Coming to you for the first time ever, really, because I have really never done a YouTube video before, and I thought, you know what a better time to do it. Got the microphone, got the camera, let's try something. For many of you, this is probably the first time you've ever heard my voice or seen my face. And answer some questions right away. Yes, I have gone through puberty. This is as deep as it gets, believe me. But basically, the whole point of this video is just kind of to explain some things. To kind of explain the future, maybe, in terms of the fic, in terms of where Alien 3 is at right now, in terms of what the future holds for, maybe future fics, maybe to even answer some questions. So, first off, I want to give a huge shout out to Darth Tenebris and Alpha Lima 1980. For those of you who haven't been following my fan fiction career, those two guys have been basically two of my biggest supporters. They've been two of my biggest fans, but they've also been two huge helps in terms of beta reading, in terms of editing, in terms of proofreading, but there's so much more than that, and I really want to stress that. Those two were doing fan fictions way before I got into them, way before I started writing my own. So please go check out their pages. They've got tons of fics. Alpha Lima 1980, I believe right now, is working on his own Predator fic, his own Predator fic. He's working on another one. He's got several out that are all really well written and really easy to read. And then Darth Tenebris has tons of different fan fictions, not just Alien, but also some Star Wars, also some Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and also some Alien and Predator stuff. So please go take a look at their page. Those two have basically become co-authors. And what I mean by that is that they have added so much to not just Alien 3 Not Alone, to the last couple Not Alones. I met Darth Tenebris during Aliens Not Alone. He offered to be my beta reader without me having to ask. I was a little nervous at first because I was kind of still brand new to the fanfiction game. I had no idea if a beta reader would be a good idea. I sent him everything I had at that point, and he sent them back to me, and everything was way more easy to read. The characters were more three-dimensional, and it changed the game. It changed everything about the Not Alone series. And then Alpha Lima 1980, more or less the same, because, once again, a little bit more experienced at doing fan fiction, very well versed in the lore, and he was able to make Alien Not Alone pop, the same way that Darth Tenebris was able to make Aliens Not Alone pop, and those two helped me on Alien Not Alone together. So that's why it kind of came out, the way it did. Really easy to read, three-dimensional characters, a well-flowing story, all good stuff. And not only that, like I said, they've been two big supporters. Like, those two were the guys who were leaving positive comments, constructive criticism comments, when others maybe weren't as nice or maybe weren't as supportive. So please pay attention to their pages, because they deserve all the credit that they can get, because they are definitely that talented. Also, to you guys and girls and everybody else, thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting the Not Alone series. Not just Alien 3. I'm talking all the way back in 2017 with Alien Isolation Not Alone, which I know is not an easy read because I didn't really do a lot of proofreading or anything like that. So please, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to anybody who's taken time out of their busy day to sit down and read these crazy stories that we've come up with. To say that I'm blown away by the support, to say that I'm blown away by the feedback and the reviews and the favorites and how many views are each story gets. I mean, I think I looked at Alien Isolation Not Alone stats not that long ago, and somebody or people had left fresh reviews, and um, the views were in the 70s. You know, out of nowhere, just out of nowhere, they climbed to like 72 views on one day. It just blows my mind that my oldest fan fiction that I ever did is getting so much, is still getting looked at and read to this day. So once again, thank you guys for that. Now on to the current fanfic, Alien 3 Not Alone. For those of you who've been reading it since I first published it, I'm going to say 2020. Yeah, 2020. Thank you. I understand that this has not been the most steady or consistent update schedule. There's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, the big elephant in the room, COVID-19, which changed everything, and that's an understatement. I had just graduated college 2 years ago, and COVID-19 here where I live was real bad, and that's, again, an understatement. Not only that, but I was at what my state, or rather my country, had deemed an essential job. So I was super busy. I was working, a lot of hours as well. And then coming home and maybe not having the energy to work on the fic, or maybe, jump on it the same way I was in the past. But at the same time, I had all this free time because I was out of school. So I was able to work on it more. By the time I had graduated college, I already kind of had a feeling I wanted to do Alien 3 Not Alone. Alien 3, the actual movie Alien 3, not Alone. Alien 3 is kind of not one of my favorites. It's actually probably my, no pun intended, it's my, it's a distant second. Here's why. Alien and Aliens, those are kind of 1A, 1B in terms of how great they are. They're perfect movies in my opinion. Alien 3, probably the best way to explain Alien 3 is that if you take the last 15 and the first 10 minutes out, it's an okay movie. It's okay. It returns back to the roots of Alien, with there just being one alien they have to worry about technically, and how they don't have any guns, they don't have any weapons. It's an exotic location, which I really like, Fury 161. I think it's a cool location. I actually like Shaved Head Ripley. I think she looks cool, even though I love her to death. Even though Sigourney Weaver is starting to look a little bit older, but that, that's just a fact. But at the same time, it hurts me because it does what it does in the first 15 minutes, and it does what it does in the last 15 minutes. So, with that said, I was going to do Alien 3 Not Alone, and it actually was going to be a very straightforward fic. It was going to be Andrew wakes up at some point, he ends up getting on the Sulaco, something bad happens on the Sulaco, they end up on Fury 161. No shark pack, no nothing. But as time went on, and as I was able to kind of brainstorm ideas about, well, I kind of want to have this be different. And that's where stuff like the shark pack came from. And that's where stuff like, the derelict having its own an extra compartment in it where they find another xenomorph, which those of you who've actually read the fic, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to tell you the whole story of the whole plot. So, because of COVID, because of everybody's work schedules being kind of wonky, for myself, for Darth Tenebris, for Alpha Lima 1980, that's what kind of caused updates to kind of be infrequent. There was communication issues. There was like a little problem with my email where it wouldn't send documents, and I would send these emails to Darth Tenebris, and he wouldn't get them because there's no documents. There's nothing in the email. So that caused a big communication problem, and all of a sudden I thought he wasn't sending back stuff, so it was a cluster, but luckily it got figured out, and we're back to where we are now. Because of COVID, because of all that stuff going on, because of some crazy stuff going on in everybody's personal lives, update schedule was kind of, it would come and go. There'd be a few weeks here and there where, there'd be back-to-back chapters posted within days of each other. I think that happened with Derelict Disaster, both part 1 and part 2. That happened with part 2 and part 3 of When Worlds Collide, which is where the Shark Pack and the Marines and Andrew all meet up. So yeah, that's why things were kind of infrequent. But as far as where Alien 3 Not Alone is now, I can say, and for those of you who actually kept up to date and read the story and all that, you know where we're at right now. We're just now getting into actual Alien 3 stuff, as opposed to everything kind of be, for the most part, an original idea. Now we're into Alien 3 stuff. With that said, I've been watching Alien 3. I've been going over both versions, because as I found out, just kind of suddenly, as I was watching, the version of Alien 3 I have is actually the assembly cut, which is the one that has, I believe, this is the one that has the dog xenomorph instead of the ox xenomorph. And I'm going to keep the dog xenomorph and have that be the only thing. I'm definitely going to keep the dog xenomorph. Spoiler alert, sorry. But for those who have been following it, thank you once again. And just to kind of update once more, I'm going to say we're probably 70% done with the fic, but we got a little bit left. There's some stuff that needs to happen still. And I don't want to give anything away because, like I said, I could brainstorm a different idea, or Darth Tenebris and Alpha Limit 1980 might go, no, maybe try something different here. You never know. So with that said, as far as Alien 3 Not Alone goes, some of the creative decisions that happened. Go into that real quick. So, for Alien 3 Not Alone, obviously a lot of creative decisions happened. The Shark Pack being one of them. That's probably the big one. Why did we do the Shark Pack? It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. I was watching a movie with my dad in our basement, and the movie, for those of you wondering, was Tank Girl. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie. But Tank Girl kind of had a zany look to it, and that's when I literally I sat with my laptop in my lap, and I looked up and was watching the movie and watching how zany and crazy it was, and I just started typing up names, and I just started making a list of names, and what they look like, what did they used to do, stuff like that. And that's where the Shark Pack came from. Here's why I created the Shark Pack. The story reason is because, as a mechanic, something had to go wrong in the Sulaco. Something. Excuse me again. Either something internally, like the fire, which is what happens in Alien 3 Not Alone, but that's because of acid. There's no alien on the Sulaco. There's no xenomorphs on the Sulaco. There's no egg. The egg got blasted to bits, spoiler alert, at the end of Aliens Not Alone, making the canonical possibility of Alien 3 happening impossible, for the most part. The Shark Pack were meant to be that connection of something going wrong on the Sulaco. It's my AC turning on, sorry. As far as who they are as people, and far as why they were created in the first place as a story element, is because I kind of wanted to showcase that even though Weyland-Yutani are the bad guys, they are 100% the villains of this story. The Xenomorphs and Weyland-Yutani. It kind of goes hand in hand. The reason why, the absolute 100% reason why that is to showcase that though they play for the bad guys, they're on the Empire, they're stormtroopers, they're Klingons, they're the bad guys, they're Umbrella from Resident Evil. They're technically the bad guys, they work for the bad guys, but they're not bad people. That was kind of the whole point of the Shark Pack, was just to showcase, they might work for the bad guys, but they're not really bad people. Like, some of them, former criminals, some of them do it because they maybe have a little bit of selfishness, or they're in it for the money. But at heart, they're all decent-minded people. And that's another thing I wanted to showcase. When things go awry, they deal with it the same way a good guy would deal with it, the same way the Marines dealt with it. with that said, I wanted to have characters that, were clearly in it for the thrill and money, but then I wanted to have characters that were in it because maybe they didn't have any choice. Like maybe it was jail time or join the Shark Pack or join Weyland-Yutani. With that said, once again, I wanted to create this little bit of internal strife in how they deal with things. Their leader, Douglas, for instance, always gets the job done, even if it means sacrificing lives. It's part of the job. But Bonane is one of those characters who's not okay with that. So I wanted to kind of create that conflict of, like, the job's important, but the team should come first. We're the team. We're the reason why everything goes or doesn't go. So that was the whole point of kind of that creation of those characters. The other thing was, and I'm sure some people are wondering, where some of the names came from. To be totally honest, they come from all over the place. Some people are named after characters from other fanfics. Some people are named after friends of mine who I went to college and high school with. Some people are named after famous people. For those of you wondering, this is kind of a play on words. I'm a fan of pro wrestling. That was just is part of my childhood. I've always been into it. And some of the characters are named after pro wrestlers, or a play on words. So you have people like Braun Strowman from WWE, or former WWE now. Lexi Kaufman, Alexa Bliss, that's her legal name. And then you have people like Mercedes Banks, who that's Sasha Banks's real first name with her ring name. So, and we're doing this in fair use. Not planning on making money off this, so hopefully they don't kick my door down and beat the shit out of me. But funny enough, when we were brainstorming the Shark Pack, I remember, it was Darth Neighbor said, you can't name that character that. And he was referring to Jacobson. Jacobson's original name was going to be Steve Williams. That's two different wrestlers' real names. Dr. Death Steve Williams, who's a little bit of an old school wrestler, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin's real name is actually Steve Williams, or I think at one point he went by Steve Williams. So yeah, we were actually concerned he's going to kick the door down any second and beat the shit out of us or stomp a mud hole on us. But yeah, other names, they come from random name generator, to be totally honest with you. Akula, for instance, that's a random name generator. Bonane, random name generator. But again, that's where the names kind of came from. Same thing with like Cavender and Hellwig. All those characters' names just come from, my life, people I've met. Some of their personalities from the real people kind of crackle in sometimes, like their style sometimes, or their kind of a personality. I will say that there's probably parts of Bonane and there's parts of the Mills family that have bits and pieces of my personality. For Bonane in particular, I would probably say his reaction to a stressful event is always to kind of go with humor. I kind of try to do that. I try to make a joke to make everybody relax, Same thing with Christopher and David and Andrew to some extent. So that's the Shark Pack. And as far as Andrew's story arc, I know, this is not a very Ellen Ripley centered story for the first half. I think it's because in Alien Not Alone, I tried to make it 50-50. I tried not to make Andrew be this knight in shining armor who's going to sweep Ripley off her feet, and he's going to take care of everything, everything's going to be fine. I tried to make it kind of 50-50. And in Aliens Not Alone, that definitely happens, where Ellen Ripley is definitely the main character, because she should be, because Andrew is unconscious, he's in a coma. So, with that said, it was kind of hard to have that dynamic be as 50-50 this time around, because Ellen's not in the first half of the story. She's just not. She's in dreams. There's a lot of, kind of communications, kind of faux communications. But first half of the story, up till, well, pretty much the last couple chapters, has been all about the Shark Pack. And it's been all about Andrew's waking up and dealing with things. So, with that said, I think I said a while back that I wanted Sam Elliott to play Andrew Mills. Or at least Andrew Mills to look like Sam Elliott, to sound like Sam Elliott. This time around, obviously, he's going to sound even more like Sam Elliott. The gravelly voice. I can't even do a good Sam Elliott. I'm talking about the dude here. Nope, can't do Sam Elliott, sorry. So, yeah, he's going to look a little bit more like Sam Elliott. He's going to have kind of a, not clean-shaven look. And he's going to have a little bit more of a darker voice. It's just something that happens. As far as why certain characters got killed off in the Shark Pack and why some survived, once again, it all comes down to who would I want, to kind of be in the final phase of the story. And I felt Bonane, Denny, these are spoilers, by the way, if you haven't read the story all the way through. Bonane, Denny, Kaufman, Akula, those four kind of make sense to me. They're the four that seem to be closest to each other, or they've gotten closer over the course of this mission that's gone terribly wrong. So yeah, that's kind of why. Another question I got asked, and I got asked this by Darth Tenebris. The character of Sarah Cavender. Sarah Cavender, the character, is not meant to be just another Weyland-Yutani character. And I mean that. I knew I was going to have some form of there was going to be somebody who was like Burke. And I kind of had that with a character by the name of Barker, who's in the prologue? Yeah, he's in the prologue. And he's Burke. He's a stooge. He thinks he's all that. He's really not. He thinks he's smooth. He thinks he's better than he really is. He thinks he's on a higher standing in the company than he really is. So, with that said, I did not want to have another Burke. I wanted to have somebody who was unique. The character, once again, of Cavender, for those of you who are wondering, she is not attracted to Andrew Mills. And I know there's been a few passages that would indicate the opposite of that she is attracted to him. I don't think she's not in love with him, and she's not romantically attracted to him. Physically, maybe. But she, more or less, and I'll talk about this because I plan on doing another video down the line when Alien 3 is actually done. She is not in love with him. She's more, feels like she owes him. She feels like she owes David and Amanda for their connection to her and her childhood and her being taken care of. But she feels that she owes Andrew, that, it's her duty to make sure that he's safe, to make sure that Ellen is safe. He's her assignment. So she feels a connection to him. She feels, a platonic connection probably, but she does feel a connection. She feels like he is a very important part of her life and the most important man in her life right now, considering that, she's been assigned by the company and also by the UEC. Spoiler alert once again. Spoiler alert, because Cavender turns out to be something we didn't think she was. But she more or less respects and she trusts Mills and she feels comfortable around him. She's not, once again, not romantically attracted to him, at least not in the way that some people would think. Another thing about the length of the fic, I think this is on track to be the longest fic I've ever written. The reason for that is because, once again, every chapter has a lot in it. I forget why I did that. I think that's just more my enthusiasm kicking in. Like when I'm working on a chapter, I keep saying, okay, I'm going to stop at 10,000 words. I'm going to stop at 11,000. And then it just keeps going and going and going. it's coming to a stopping point that makes sense, especially with the chapters that are 100% original, or even 80% original. Sorry. The whole point of these stories and the whole point of the chapters is to basically kind of explain what's going on. Explain, exactly what is happening in the chapter. I wanted people to kind of almost read them like screenplays. That's how I've always thought. Or novelizations of a movie would be a better way to put it. And I've always felt more comfortable with the idea of this is what the sky looks like, this is what the ground looks like, this is what the people look like in the area. This is what's going on. This is why it happened. All those things and more. Like, that's just how I write. But once again, it just comes down to the fact that there's just so much story. The Shark Pack story arc alone, that's a lot of chapters. I mean, those guys, they could have their own story. And, their own little collection of one-shots. Andrew waking up, that's another story arc. And most of the time, those two story arcs were sharing chapters, as opposed to just taking one whole chapter dedicated to a Shark Pack thing. And that happened a couple times with Derelict Disaster, part 1 and 2. That's 100% nothing but Shark Pack stuff going on. But no, that it just comes down to the fact of there's just so much story. And also, I do kind of treat this, I do treat Alien 3 as kind of, not a send-off to the Not Alone, but as kind of like this correlation of years of events, of all the failed events of Weyland Yutani trying to get a xenomorph, of everything that happened on the Nostromo, everything that happened on LV-426, everything that happened on Sevastopol, everything that happened on Grimmera. That's another story. Everything that's happened is now coming together. And also, this is just maybe coincidence, Alien 3, also kind of the 3 kind of stands for the 3 story arcs. Andrew's story arc of him waking up, the Shark Pack's story arc, and then the Survivors of LV-426's story arc. So with that said, as far as the future goes, when Alien 3 is done, and it probably will be done in the next 3 or 4 months, I'm going to say. That's a rough estimate. But it's the truth. I'm not going to say that I'm going to stop writing fan fictions, because I'm not. I mean, I just have way too many ideas. I'm probably not going to do another Not Alone series, or Not Alone story. Here's why. So as far as the other Alien movies go, Resurrection is a disaster in my opinion. I don't like it. There's not really anything I can use. I remember, once again, I think Darth Neighbors asked me this not that long ago. He's like, so do you think you'll ever do a Resurrection? And I said, I'd use the title, but it would have nothing to do with the story. Because, I just don't see anything I could do with it. That's the other thing. Sorry. Alien 3, I can definitely do something with. But not Alien Resurrection. I just can't. If I do it, it'll end up being an April Fool's joke. It'll be a one-shot. It'll be tongue-in-cheek. And it'll be like the most smarmy, smart-assy written jerk of a story you've ever read. But as far as the other ones go, Prometheus, which is a movie I have died on my sword for so many times because I usually defend it to people. I say it's okay, it's not terrible, it's not a bad movie. It gets destroyed by people. People treat it like it's episode 1 of Star Wars. And I love episode 1 of Star Wars. I'm one of those people, sorry. But yeah, Prometheus maybe, but again, I don't know what I could really do other than having, a cameo from a character that shows up in one of the Not Alone stories with Alien. I don't know. Alien Covenant, again, that movie broke my heart. I remember I actually started I watched that while I was working on Alien Isolation, Not Alone, and that movie broke my heart in more than one way. I was so disappointed in so many different parts of that movie, but overall, that movie just, oof, it hurt. It hurt. As far as the other movies go, though, like Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator, what Requiem, and any of the Predator movies, I don't know. My enthusiasm right now, this very moment, mark your date and calendar, on the 19th of July at 10 o'clock, I have no enthusiasm to do a Predator story because there's tons of them and they're so well written. It would be hard to kind of make a dent there. As far as any of the video games, like Aliens Fireteam Elite, which I've enjoyed playing. I played that for a while there, and I like it. I think it's really fun. Once again, I just don't see any opportunity other than just making a bunch of Marines that are OCs and just having that be the story of Aliens Fireteam Elite, but it's got a bunch of OCs that I created. That'd be the only thing. And it's kind of hard to follow the story because you're too focused on shooting stuff. I mean, that's my one criticism of the game, is that you're shooting stuff, you're shooting, but then you're also going like this. You're reading the subtitles, which is kind of hard to follow a story that way. If there was ever an Alien Isolation 2, I would maybe do another Alien one, and have it actually be Alien Isolation 2 and try to follow the story if it was a game. There was also another Alien Isolation game that got released, it was forever ago. It was the one that basically was a mobile game, I think, and it's basically Five Nights at Freddy's, only Alien, and people did not like it. Or at least I don't think people liked it. I remember being disappointed because they kind of treated it like it was canon and you had to follow it, and but no, again, no opportunity. So if ever Alien Isolation 2 came out, or a video game involving Amanda Ripley came out, I'd probably definitely make a fan fiction of that. But as for right now, I'm definitely focused on finishing Alien 3 Not Alone. But the other thing is that I don't want to jump into another fan fiction and have this idea that, well, I'm gung-ho about another Alien fan fiction. My beta readers are going to be, gung-ho about it. Come on, guys, let's do another one. And they could have stuff going on in their lives, or they could be doing their own stories, This isn't a job for them, I don't really pay them. So, the fact that for me to go, oh, come on, guys, let's do another fan fiction, they could be like, we can't. And I'm not saying that they're my security blanket, but it would be way different, and I wouldn't be comfortable doing it without them. So with that said, as far as, once again, right now, this moment, I'm going to keep working on Alien 3 Not Alone. And just to give everybody kind of a glimpse about what goes into making a chapter, I do the chapter, I write it. It usually takes me a couple weeks and can sometimes take me 3 or almost a month. And then I read it, and then I email it to Alpha Lima 1980. He usually sends it back to me in a week. Best case scenario. Sends it back to me. I read it again, send it to Darth Tenebris. Best case scenario, a couple weeks, he's sending it back to me. Stuff happens. You get writer's block. You don't have the enthusiasm to do it anymore. There's so many things that can happen. So I just want to stress that, once again, that's why it takes some time to get these done, is because they're long chapters, and there's a lot of proofreading involved. There's a lot of, okay, that looks good. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. We need to change that. All that stuff and more. So with that said, in the meantime, I am actually working on doing some playthroughs of Alien Isolation, of the original Alien Isolation, the video game that started all, that made me want to be a fan fiction writer. Ironically, because I hated the ending. We're going to be working on that. Stay tuned on the page, on the fanfiction page. I'm going to be posting a document that's going to be showing when we're going to be live streaming that. I plan on live streaming it as soon as I get some technical stuff worked out, as far as like my actual microphone working. Believe it or not, that's a headache. But the other thing is that just be patient. It's worth the wait. More chapters are on the way. The story is going to be in progress until it gets finished. And, it's worth the wait. Once again, thank you to everybody. Like, just to everybody who has supported me in this regard. I remember when I first started writing fan fiction, 5 years ago. My God, it'll be 5 years ago this August. And I was really nervous. And I was able to gain confidence with every chapter. And it's led me to meet some awesome creative people. So, once again, thank you. Please check out Darth Neighbors and Alpha Lima 1980's pages. It's definitely worth it. Thank you for watching this video. As always, please favorite, follow, and leave a review. Stay safe out there. God bless.